Imagine a workplace where communication flows freely, collaboration feels natural, tension has been reduced, everyone works towards their strengths. The environment almost feels perfect. Does that sound too good to be true? Does that sound like it's impossible to have such a healthy workplace culture? It isn't. And I'm going to tell you the decoder for your team so you can have great collaboration, less tension, and people working to their strengths and increased productivity. It's DISC. DISC is an assessment tool that helps us understand ourselves, understand others, and use that information to improve communication and relationships. It's one of many assessment tools. This is dedicated to personality styles, and the 4 letters are D, I, S, and C, and that stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. Each one has a unique style, has different set of priorities, different set of motivators, and different sets of stressors. I love seeing this applied to the workplace. It's amazing what can happen in a culture when DISC is at the foundation, when DISC is considered a common language. I have seen people in workshops stand up, point to one another, and say, "Now I understand why you did what you did." Because a lot of times we think people need to be more like us, or people should behave more like us. At the same time, they're thinking the same thing about us. So this removes all the tension. This removes the mystery. Have you ever wondered why you might get along with someone better than others, or why there's just maybe an odd tension between you and someone on your team? It's because we have different styles and we have different priorities and we operate at a different pace. And when you have this information, when you have this decoder at your fingertips, it really helps you understand why people do what they do and why we do what we do, and then how to use that information to bridge that gap and come to the middle and have better communication and better relationships. Sometimes I see cultures improve almost overnight because they'll sit in a workshop one day, they'll apply it the next day, and all of a sudden people who couldn't stand working together actually really enjoy working together because they removed the tension. They have the decoder. It is fascinating to watch. Now, the beautiful thing is this applies outside of the workplace also. This applies in all areas of life. I've seen this used in marriage counseling, pre-marriage counseling, relationships with volunteers, relationships with parents, with kids, friendships. So this truly does apply to all aspects of our life. My husband even used it with his daughter to improve their relationship and how he communicates with her. Once he understood what her priorities are and what motivates her, he changed his approach and he changed some of the language he uses with her. So this is something that applies even outside the workplace. One important thing I want to point out is I don't want you to take away that we're being put in a box or that we're being labeled. That is absolutely not the case at all. We all have each style inside of us. We just prioritize one over the others. So for example, the D style, which is dominance, tends to prioritize results and, getting to the answer fast and a little bit more fast-paced. Your S style tends to be a little bit more steady, a little bit more slower paced, and puts a priority on relationships and collaborating. Now, that doesn't mean results aren't important to an S style. That doesn't mean relationships aren't important to a D style. They are. They're just not as important as the other style. They are still there. It's just a matter of at what point they're there. So I hope that makes sense. We all have each one of these styles inside of us, and we just prioritize one over the other. And we're going to dive deeper into each one of these styles in some upcoming videos. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on learning more about each one of the styles. Ultimately, using this information and using this decoder helps us bridge those gaps. Some of the gaps that we might see or feel in the workplace. Workplace conflict. It's definitely going to reduce workplace conflict because you'll have a better understanding of why you do what you do, why others do what they do, and then how to use that information to improve the communication and the relationships. You'll definitely see an increased productivity. You'll definitely see a more cohesive and more energized team, which is so important to improve the employee engagement on a team. You don't want your team quitting. You don't want your team leaving simply because they don't understand their fellow teammates. It's really important to have all the styles on a team. Each style brings different set of values, different set of priorities, and each one is equally valuable. So it's important to make sure you represent all the different styles on the team. But then, of course, there's natural tension. So when you have this information, when you have this decoder, you can eliminate that tension. You can reduce the conflict and, of course, increase productivity and engagement. So how does this work? It's an assessment, and it's one of the most highly reliable assessments out there when it comes to the DISC personality style. And it operates on a scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree. Some of the assessments out there force you to rank like what I least like or most like, but if you don't like any of them, sometimes it's hard to rank. So this is on a scale of strongly agree to strongly disagree. And then it takes that information and identifies what your style is, whether D, I, S, or C. And it tells you what your priorities are based on that style. And then it also tells you how to understand other people's styles. It gives you a tool on how to identify one style and then how to communicate better with that style. It's truly your decoder. It is truly at your fingertips. When people use this information prior to going to meetings and they've identified maybe who else might be in the meeting and what their style is, they actually open their profile and they say, if I'm a C and I'm about to go meet with an S, what is the best way to have a conversation and approach the S style? What's important to them versus what's important to me? And then how do we have a healthy conversation with less tension? It is truly fascinating to watch this happen. So you take the assessment, you find out what your style is, you get about a 20-page report to help you understand all the other styles and what to do to communicate better with the other styles. And this comes in several different specific areas. You have your workplace profile, which is designed for your individual contributor. You have your management profile, which is designed for leaders. And what that does is it gives your leaders their style, but then it also helps your leaders understand how to identify the style of the people on their team that they're leading and how to motivate and delegate and develop to those different styles. What we think is important to us isn't always important to the other person. What we think is important to us is sometimes a stressor to the other person, and it's important to know that. And this will tell you that. It will give this to you on paper, black and white. It will tell you how to approach the folks on your team with the different styles, what motivates them versus what stresses them out. So you take that information and you apply it to your team and you keep it alive. You keep the information alive, you keep the conversation going, you invite your team members to apply it and then teach each other. I strongly believe in lunch and learns and bringing the information and real world application to the team. Teach others, right? Have everybody teach each other on the team what they've done and how they apply the information that they've learned. So ultimately, DISC is a very useful tool in the workplace. It is something that is a living, breathing tool, which I absolutely love to see being applied in the workplace. It will truly improve employee engagement, increase productivity, and decrease that tension that you might be sensing on the team. So reach out if that's something you'd be interested in learning more about, but definitely stay tuned. We're going to dive deeper into each one of the styles, D, I, S, and C, dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. Subscribe so you don't miss out.